So, have you ever looked at the world of real estate and thought, man, I'd love to get in on that, but then immediately thought, but I don't have a single rupee to my name? Well, if that's you, then you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down a powerful strategy for how you can build a real estate empire from scratch, literally from zero. Let's dive in. Okay, let's start with this massive statement. The idea here is pretty simple. You can get rich doing a lot of things, sure, but the source argues that no matter how people make their first fortune, the really wealthy, the real millionaires, they almost always put their money into real estate. It's the ultimate destination for wealth. So why is that? Well, it all boils down to this difference between real assets and paper assets. Stocks and bonds are great, they're liquid, but man, they can go up and down like a roller coaster. Real assets, and we're talking specifically about land here, are tangible. You can literally walk on it. You can touch it. They're way more stable. You don't see land just, falling off a cliff overnight. That's why they call it a real asset. Right, but this leads us to the giant wall that pretty much everyone hits. Real estate is expensive. You need a ton of money to even start playing the game, and let's be honest, most of us just don't have that kind of cash lying around. This is the big dilemma, the number one thing that holds people back. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If you need money to make money, but you have no money, how in the world do you start? It feels like a total catch-22. But, and this is the key, there is a way through. Look, when it comes to real estate, people pretty much fall into two camps. There's a tiny group that already has the money to invest, good for them. But then there's the massive majority of us, starting out with empty pockets but a whole lot of ambition. And this explainer, it's for us. And here it is, your very first move. It's probably not what you're expecting. You're not going to go find some secret investment. Nope. You're going to get a job. Seriously. But this isn't about working a 9-to-5 for the rest of your life. Think of it more like a strategic infiltration into the heart of the industry. This is the absolute key. It's a total mindset shift. You can't invest money you don't have. It's impossible. But you know what you do have? You have time. And you're going to invest that time to get something way more valuable at the beginning than cash. You're going to get experience, you're going to get connections, and you're going to get insider knowledge. So think of this job as your own personal crash course in real estate. Step 1, you join a local real estate broker or a developer. Your first mission? Master something called inventory management. From there, you're going to start meeting people and building a killer network. And before you know it, you'll be in the room helping to close your very first big deal. Now, inventory management might sound a little boring, right? Like you're just making lists of properties. But it is so much more than that. This is your secret key to the entire market. It's how you find out what's for sale, who's selling it, who's buying it, and for how much. You basically get your finger right on the pulse of the city.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting, because the little bit of salary or commission you make from this job, that's not the real paycheck. The stuff you're truly earning, the assets that are actually going to build your empire later on, they have nothing to do with money.
This is what you're getting paid. You're building a network of wealthy people. You're learning how to sell and negotiate in the real world, skills that are priceless. You start carrying yourself with more confidence. And maybe the most important thing of all, your entire way of thinking about wealth begins to change. You've probably heard this quote before, and it is 100% true here. When you take this job, you're suddenly surrounded by deal makers, by investors, by people who are already where you want to be. And just by being around them, their habits, their language, their ambition, it all starts to rub off on you. Think about it. For most of us, 1 crore rupees is just a number on a screen. It's not really real. But in this job, you won't just hear about it. You will physically see a check for that amount. You'll be standing in the room when a deal that massive goes down. That's not just a learning experience. That fundamentally rewires your brain. And that brings us to this incredibly powerful idea. When you see that kind of money up close, with your own 2 eyes, it stops being a fantasy. It becomes real. It becomes a target. It becomes something you know is achievable because you've seen it happen. Seeing the money makes you truly hungry for it. So you do this for a few years. You get this incredible real-world education. And now you're a completely different person. You've got the tools, the knowledge, the network. You are finally ready to make that leap from being an employee to becoming an investor yourself. Because you've spent that time building this unshakable foundation. You have the skills, you have the network, and most importantly, you now have the vision. You can see the opportunities that other people just can't.
You can't just sit at home and hope for a vision to appear. It doesn't work that way. As this great analogy says, you have to start climbing the ladder. Once you get on that first rung by taking that job, suddenly you can see the path to the next rung and the one after that. The way forward reveals itself once you're in motion.
So, the day finally comes. You've got the skills, the network, the vision, and you saved up some of that commission money. You're ready to make your first investment. When that happens, there is one simple rule that you have to burn into your memory. The first rule of real estate is location. It's the most important thing, period. The second rule, it's also location. You can have a terrible house in an amazing location and still make a fortune. A palace in a bad location is worthless. And the third rule, just so we're all crystal clear, is location. You get the point. Nothing else even comes close. And when you find that perfect location, the source argues your number one target should always be land, just raw land. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. They aren't making any more of it. It's a finite resource. Buildings get old, they fall apart, they depreciate. Land doesn't. And at the end of the day, every single building, every shop, every flat has to be built on top of it. Land is the foundation of everything. So there you have it. The path from zero to a real estate empire isn't about finding some magic pot of money. It's about a smart, strategic investment of your time to get the skills, the network, and the vision you need to succeed. Your journey doesn't start with a big check. It starts with a job application. The only question left is, what's your first step going to be?